welcome to a brand new episode of the TraxionGG podcast, where we talk esports, racing games, and sim racing. And a special episode this time, as we're joined not by one guest, but three, and that's the team from Original Fire Games, and we're here to talk about the upcoming Circuit Superstars game, which, if you've not seen, it's a really cool game. We'll talk about it more, so stay tuned. So I'd like to introduce Caro, Carlos, and Alberto Mastretta. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
No worries. It's our pleasure. And how are you today?
We're doing great. Having a bit of a calm before the release of the game. Very excited to see people play it soon. So and happy to talk about it. So yeah, good start of the day.
Well, it's not just me that's excited. I think all of our Traxion team and the community that we have are very excited for the release of this game. So for those who aren't aware, the game is out today, Tuesday, the 12th of October on PC and Xbox One and PS4 and Switch coming soon. So big surprise there. It's been in early access since the 5th of March on PC, but now we're finally at version 1.0. So I guess I was going to save this towards the end, but how do you all feel now that sort of the Xbox and PC versions at least are releasing?
Very relieved. Yeah, very relieved.
Yeah.
Very excited to see it in people's hands.
That's a good way to put it. It's a mix of excitement and relief, because we started building it 6 years ago, and it's been so hard. It's just difficult to put together these things. And but we assembled a brilliant team. Square Enix Collective trusted us. This is our first game, and we're very happy with the result. And we're now very much looking forward to see how players enjoy the game.
Yeah, it's a very exciting time. Just before we jump into questions about how the development was and the cool features and the release further, for those who don't know, perhaps one of you could explain to me on a very basic top level, what is Circuit Superstars in a basic foundation? I've obviously played it a lot and seen it a lot, but there'll be people out there that aren't aware. So for them, what's the pitch?
It is a physics-based, top-down racing game where players compete in a wide variety of car classes that cover the world of motor racing through different eras.
Yeah. And to add to that, I think my opinion, and please correct me if I'm wrong, it's sort of a cutesy looking, very uniquely colourful game, but then the gameplay is clearly grounded in reality. There's real depth to the physics. And there's like fuel and tire wear and all sorts of things. Is that a correct add-on to the description?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I think it would be worth to mention that we have liked to, it kind of obviously its identity has evolved over time, and we knew a long time ago what we were making, but it sort of through the years shaped itself into being a stylized simulator. And Alberto or Charlie can elaborate a bit more on what I mean by that, but I think that summarizes it very well.
Yep.
I guess it's been tricky to name what kind of game it is, especially in terms of familiar genres that people can quickly understand, because we feel it's sort of a concept that really hasn't been done all that much, which is this game that chooses some realism and has the freedom to stylize it in ways that make sense for the game that we're building. And finding that balance of what it really is, because arcade is so broad that we can't just call it an arcade game or a sim game. We definitely take a lot of creative freedom with game design to make it fit the type of fun that we're trying to evoke. And ultimately, we feel it definitely has simulator aspects to it, without really the realism coming from the cars themselves. So the cars are definitely way more lenient than a simulator would be, but we still respect the principles of motorsport and the core idea of what makes racing fun. And that goes beyond just motorsport, just like what is so fun about just trying to compete on who gets first to the finish line or who goes faster. And we think those concepts are quite solid. There's no really need to meddle with them too much. Just rely on those and build something that people can enjoy driving.
It's certainly very, very unique in that it has the look, but then also this slightly more serious handling and driving, although it's still accessible to an extent, right? So I really like how it is. Yeah, it's its own thing. It's very unique. Like you say, there's elements from other places, right? But I suppose it's Circuit Superstars. It's its own thing. That's an easy way of describing it. But yeah. So before we dive further into the game as well, I'd like to talk about that original Fire Games, actually. Perhaps, I don't know who would be best to discuss this, but how did the studio come about? I understand that your family has motorsport in the veins and there's a long history there. And is that this game a combination of the passion, perhaps, over the years?
Oh, yeah. We grew up around cars and video games. Our dad was racing RC cars at a high level, and we went to most of his races until we started racing ourselves. RC cars, then karting, then cars. But also in the early 90s, we started playing video games, and we played everything. But racing games became a fascination early on. So games, casual games like Mario Kart and F-Zero, to more serious ones like the Geoff Crammond F1 series, the simulation games that started proliferating in the 90s. And so the three of us eventually developed an interest in game development. Caro became a professional before the two of us, actually. In 2013, she was already a designer at a large studio. That's when we started to thinking about coming together and build something. And building a racing game made sense because we had a lot of ideas. And we felt that there was space for a well-detailed, modern, top-down racing game that captured what we felt were very exciting elements of RC racing in particular, a game that brought you that feeling of flow and focus. So that's when we started working on it or thinking about it. Then in 2015, this summer, my brother and I started doing a lot of experimentation, a lot of trial and error. I could see early on how good of a designer he was, how methodical he was. And then the deal with Square Enix Collective was put together. That's when Caro came in. She's been a brilliant studio leader. She brought in Johan Werner, who's been a great engineer. And from then on, from the moment we signed the deal, we had two major tasks, which were equally difficult. Put a team together from scratch and finish the game. So, it's been a very difficult 2 years, but we're very happy with the result. And hopefully it's a good start for our studio. Hopefully what we feel about the game, what we feel is good about the game is something that will resonate with players. And we're about to find out.
Yeah. How many, Caro, how many people are in the team in total at the minute?
So we're currently 6 people.
Small.
Yeah, so John joined us afterwards. At the beginning of we hired Phil Wardlaw, who I had also worked with in the past. Both just fantastic, very forward-thinking, problem-solving, kind engineers that we've loved working with. And then we also have a junior artist, Chicho, who works with Charlie in developing the architecture for the tracks. But yeah, I think one thing that I wanted to speak to is the fact that I think when people hear 6 years, they might project that into the game, like as an expectation of like, what does 6 years of game development look like? But the reality is that it's 6 years of, I would say, exploration. Like the game has, the game started 6 years ago with my brothers, really exploring what would they could make, how it could look like, what the fun could be. And it things changed over the course of time as they attempted different things, and some things worked and some things didn't. We attempted a Kickstarter at the very early in the first year, probably.
First year.
Yeah, that had a very strong impact on the game, because it really it kind of put us back in a position where we evaluated what its identity needed to be for it to be something strong. And I would say that the failure of that campaign became a very strong source of identity for defining what the game would be. And so, yeah, like for the past 2 years after we formed the game, we started, I would say, kind of from scratch, not in the drawing board in a sense, because we had already found what was most important, which was a fantastic game feel that Alberto and Charlie had developed over those previous years. And then the game that is shipping is basically what we've built over the past 2 years, having had that foundation. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. It's fascinating. And
the 6-year lifespan of the project, the first 4 years were really refining the concept that would be the foundation on which we would build systems for it to become a game. But it really was those 4 years a process of learning. But the actual vision of what the game what we wanted the game to be didn't change really all that much. The vision was very clear. Just the ability to execute on it needed a lot of trial and error and understanding of how to evoke the ideas that we had. And then, building a game around that was the actual task that we've been on the past 2 years, and it's been incredibly difficult, even with a concept that is very solid, and we're not really struggling to define what that is.
Right, I see. And so, well, I guess related to that in a way, you were mentioning there, like, the early years were experimentation, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work. There was the Kickstarter campaign. This past, well, for the majority of this year or the last few months, it's been in early access. Therefore, early adopters can pay a reduced fee, and there are regular updates. I'm a member of the Discord. I see all the updates that you have been working on, and we've written several news articles about that over this year. So what's it like being with the community deeply involved in the latter stages of development for the game? I'm assuming you're seeing all this feedback through the early access players and then not reacting, because obviously you'll have a roadmap. But how does the feedback fit into what you're trying to achieve?
It's been, for us, it's been a really great experience to see people resonate with what we were trying to build at a core level. And then we've definitely been able to prioritize a little bit around our schedule based on the observations that we make from what the players are doing and saying in the community. So to see them resonate with the game, but also find certain things that maybe we weren't ordering in the way that maybe the game needed, has been very informative for us. I don't know if my brothers want to speak to that a bit more.
Alberto has been the most active one of us in interacting with players, for sure. But I would say the biggest difference has been that some of the order of priorities that we had in our minds it changed a little bit based on everything we read. Yeah,
that's interesting. What was there anything in particular that was then moved forward or pushed back, or?
I think we really value the opportunities that games bring to collaborate in a way to create an experience, and people have been doing that in racing games for a long time. They organize tournaments, and they just want to play together, and yeah, our plans to do that. Just we tried to fill that need early on, because we saw that the community really wanted that. So one feature in particular got pushed ahead of time, which was the player lobbies, so that they can match make together.
Right.
And ultimately, if they fill a lobby, then it's a great opportunity for them to really tailor who they're playing with at this stage.
Yeah, if I could actually ask just about the online portion there, if that's okay. You can join up with other players and then enter a lobby. Is that a correct way of describing it?
Yeah, it's like you can matchmake together instead of matchmake on your own. You can gather a group and then matchmake at this stage.
You've certainly already amassed through the early access, I think, a dedicated community who are really good at the game already before it's technically released. Because I was playing some online again before we came on here. Yeah, I got smoked earlier.
No,
So there's
really?
and I thought I was doing okay, but apparently not.
Yeah.
So it must be very pleasing for you to see that people are really loving the game already and really dedicated to it.
Yeah.
It's been a thrill.
Yeah.
Sorry,
and also because, and I was just going to say that I think, I didn't get too much or at all into Genie Rally when we were young, but my brothers loved Genie Rally and they played a lot with our, Genie Rally is the correct pronunciation in English?
Gene Rally, yeah.
Gene Rally,
Nobody knows.
I'm so sorry.
I personally say Gene Rally.
Gene
would have
Rally,
to ask the creators.
Yeah, my brothers and our cousins who we grew up, like the shared passion for video games and racing extends to our cousins on my dad's side as well, and they were part of that community for the longest time. Like I just remember coming home and seeing so many monitors and so many keyboards and everyone playing Gene Rally. And then when like a lot of the people that show up on the Discord and have been like long supporters and that are like some of the best people in the game, recognize their names from those communities and they recognize each other from those communities. So I think naturally our instinct is to want to support the same systems in the long run that have permitted those games to really create a very competitive environment around them. So yeah,
that's true. Yeah. We just on a side note there on the Gene Rally thing, we have a contributor, Simon Smith. He'll love this. He grew up with Gene Rally, and he's so excited for Circuit Superstars as well to have.
Oh, that's so great!
And he's the most excited on our team. We all are, but he'll be stoked to hear that this game is going out soon. Yeah, he'll be over the moon.
That's awesome.
Cool. Yeah, I'd just like to ask a few questions specifically about the gameplay. As we've said before, my personal opinion is it handles very well and it drives really well, and there's a learning curve of learning the tracks and each of the vehicles. How do you decide which vehicle types are included? Because again, there's like little hatchbacks, there's trucks, there's dirts, there's asphalt, there's single seaters. So there's a lot of different almost genres. You might even have a game for just one type of vehicle or surface, right?
Yeah.
All in Circuit Superstars. So how did you decide what to include, what not to include? And then how did you actually, develop those to work in one cohesive experience? That's quite a big question. Sorry.
Yeah, I guess it comes from the core of the premise that we wanted to portray motorsport history and diversity, like so many different ways to race across the time that this sport has been alive. And for us, it's a thrill every time we can create a car and then like do the physics and just start driving with it, and it becomes a toy for us. It's just a thrill. So we developed the physics with that in mind. How do we get to that point where we can just quickly put together a full like representation of a time period and a car in a way that is compelling enough that you when you play it, you feel like, oh yeah, this is the car that I'm driving. It makes sense. Like if this is a truck, yeah, it's heavy, and you really feel we really wanted to portray that truck or that rally car in a faithful way without all the realism. Yeah, I guess.
Well, I mean,
a bit lost.
Yeah, sorry. I would say that each car drives in a unique fashion as well, right? Obviously, there's the core feeling, I guess, or feedback from the game, but each is still, a big, I would call it a trophy truck. I don't know if that's the right terminology, is different to the little sort of, I would say, Fiat 500 inspired car,
Yeah.
And so is that a big challenge to make this handling model work across different styles?
The biggest challenge was to get the physics model to be flexible enough to portray them.
I see. So you start with that first, and then
yeah. We try to make a physics model that we tune, and then we get fun variants on all the spectrum, because sometimes we would arrive at something that felt fun, but then as soon as you change it a little bit, it becomes hard to get that fun again. And this is, I think, the 7th iteration of the physics from scratch that we wrote.
That sounds like a lot of work.
It was a lot of work, but we just loved the outcome of that effort, because it has permitted that idea to exist. And then as for the choice of what vehicles we portray, we look at time periods, and we look at like handling archetypes, like handling archetypes, like a heavy slidey car or a light grippy car and anything in between, and we try to space them out in a way that when you have the full roster, you have like a wide spectrum of taste. So a lot of people enjoy sliding around. Some others enjoy just like grippy cars. So just having that opportunity for people to find their preferred car and their preferred styles is a joy for us to see.
Yeah, there's a nice mixture between, like you say, things that slide around more, or then there's also the ones where you've got to be ultra precise. And I suppose, speaking of precision, how far into development, or it might have been from the very beginning, did you want to include an element of tire wear, fuel usage, and damage? Because in the longer races, you have to do pit stops. They look really cool. So how did that come to being, first of all, from the vision, and then also into the development side?
From day zero.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. One of the first goals that we had very clear was to try to portray the emotional appeal of racing beyond just driving the cars. So the game was very much designed around this concept. So not only the handling, as you said, but also putting together a good qualifying lap, being consistent, managing tire wear, overtaking skill, and putting together or coming up with a clever pit stop strategy that wins you the race. Those are all crucial aspects of racing that we wanted to highlight. And for the same reason, we stayed away from mechanics like weapons and power-ups.
Right. It wouldn't necessarily, you don't see that in a World Touring Car race or a Formula One race, would you? So I guess that's why it's not in here. So I guess what I'm getting from this is the vision of that we all really like motorsport, and it's been in our family before. And so we're trying to distill the very best elements of that into a game and an experience that everyone can pick up and play.
Yeah.
Is that kind of right?
That's a fair assessment. We enjoy racing in so many forms. And we've experienced it in games and real life and slot cars and all on bicycles. Sometimes I remember us riding around a pool with two bicycles some Christmas, and naturally the two bikes ended up in the pool. But it was like just we were willing to just find ways to have fun with this idea of competing around a circuit and just fighting for lap times. And so I think over time we developed a sensitivity to just like try and find which of the racing elements were the ones that, at least to us, evoked the most emotional strength, like the strongest emotions out of all those systems combining. And that's what we tried to do with Circuit Superstars, because and it came along a lot of down to like karting experience and our racing experience. We weren't really feeling that the challenge of keeping the car on track was where we were getting the fun. It was about trying to find those milliseconds and having a strong racecraft. So for us, having a fully simulated car is not really the part where we were finding fun in racing on its own. It was a combination of so many things, and we ultimately think that we can capture a lot of the appeal without really making it the core of the experience, the realism. If that makes sense.
I see. All right. So, well, speaking of that sense of competition that you can get from motorsport, recently to promote the game, there's been the Star in a Reasonably Fast Car video series. There's been like Romain Grosjean, Jimmy Chadwick, Jimmy Broadbent have all been competing. And I believe Lando Norris has just, in the final episode, beaten the fastest time, taking that away from Sam Bird. He's
right.
very competitive, which is cool.
Yeah.
What's it like being watching those people enjoy and play your game and also work with such a big license like Top Gear?
Yeah.
Pretty cool, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like for our first game, especially, we never imagined this. What we had in mind was putting something together that felt well, that was reasonably well polished, that players enjoyed, and that hopefully allowed us to continue in the same vein, in the same industry in the future. So to see this first title sign a deal like that and have these players not only play the game but also like it and resonate with it, it's been pretty fantastic.
Yeah, I had a very joyful moment of disbelief when because the driver sent us their lap times and then John takes the lap times and puts them into the game, and then in the game you can go into the track and then you move through the different times, right? So you start at the bottom and you compete versus this driver's ghosts, and then it was just such an exciting moment when I was suddenly competing against the ghost of Lando Norris, and that's his lap that he made, and we're on the same racetrack. That is a pretty fantastic experience, and it was only until I was doing that I realized that we were bringing that to players, which was very exciting because like I never dreamed of competing like that close to someone like that.
I can't wait to try that, but I don't think I'll be quicker than Lando Norris. Just putting that one out there. We'll give it a shot though. But actually, so the drivers, the series was shaped around the notion of the show, which was a hot lap. Like you get that one opportunity, but they kept practicing and submitted some better times. So what you see on the leaderboards in the game might be different than in real life. So that's I think I'm excited to see people completing for their best times. Yeah, but it's good to see that they got carried away and got more into it and were like, oh no, hang on a minute, I've got a quicker time, honest.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty fantastic.
Nice. Yeah. Okay, so I guess we're coming towards the end of our time together, but once version 1.0 is shipped, do you get to take some time off? No. Always
really
working.
know.
Is it
really know,
never really finished? Is that correct? Obviously, this is the quote unquote final version, but there's obviously PlayStation and Switch to look at, and all sorts of other things coming on later on the stream, right? So, are you still going to be working on Circuit Superstars for the foreseeable?
Yes, definitely. We're going to be focusing on bringing the PlayStation release and the Switch release, and obviously we can continue to develop the game as that's happening. So what those priorities look like, we don't know yet, but we're very excited to get to those milestones as soon as possible.
Looking forward to it. Yeah, really good. Is there anything that you would like to say to the community or people who haven't checked out Circuit Superstars yet? You know, what would be the sort of the main reason why people should check out this game now that it's out?
We built the game that we wanted to play. We've always been a fan of all sorts of racing games, and we wanted to have something that was easy to jump into with Cars that are pretty straightforward to drive, very responsive but forgiving at the same time, which allows us as players to focus on what we see as the truly fascinating aspects of racing, like putting together a great qualifying lap, being consistent, fighting wheel to wheel for position, those aspects that we find truly thrilling. And then we also try to create something unique in terms of style. The world is very colorful and hopefully very charming. A lot of effort goes into capturing the atmosphere of the racetracks as they were back in the day. The tracks, we try to make them feel very alive. The pit crews are very reactive and fully animated. The crowds are loud, and the cars have the cars are modeled in sort of a super scale or chibi scale, which gives them a unique look. And so we hope this blend of elements is something that players find attractive.
Yeah.
We created it based on what we had in our minds, what we were craving to play. So hopefully this is something that resonates with other players too.
Yeah. If you enjoy motorsport and watching motorsport, playing motorsport, try this game. I think we think you'll enjoy it.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, we distilled the very charming world of motorsport and did our best attempt at creating a portrait of it that you can live in. So
right, that's a good way of describing it. Yeah. So, well, congratulations on this 6-year journey, and certainly the last couple of years of really hard development on the game. People can actually buy the version 1.0 and Xbox console owners too. Very much looking forward to the PlayStation and Switch versions as well, because it's always good to get it in more people's hands. So best of luck with those versions.
Thank you, Tom.
And yeah, we'll just repeat it again. Circuit Superstars out now on the 12th PC, Xbox One. It's by Original Fire Games. It's published with Square Enix Collective. Thank you very much, Caro, Carlos, and Alberto Mastretta. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much. Likewise.
Yeah, the
Look
pleasure
forward
is
to seeing you on the racetrack along with.
Yeah, you'll see me at the bottom of the time. The leaderboards, but I will be there.
Sounds great.
Because the community is very competitive. Yeah, and just finally, for those watching, please do like and subscribe and comment below if you've what you're thinking of Circuit Superstars so far. And if you're listening on the audio platforms, please do follow and subscribe there on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.